Life throws challenges at us every day. Stress, setbacks, people's opinions, it can feel overwhelming. But what if you could act as if nothing bothers you? What if you could handle every situation with calm, clarity, and confidence? This book will teach you how to cultivate emotional resilience, how to stay grounded when the world tries to shake you. You'll learn to transform stress into strength and frustration into focus. Subscribe and stay with me, because by the end of this book, you won't just react to life, you will master it. Chapter 1. The Power of Emotional Detachment. Emotional detachment isn't the absence of emotion, it's the presence of control. Every day, life throws challenges your way. People upset you. Situations frustrate you. Unexpected events derail your plans. And in these moments, it's easy to let your emotions take the wheel. But real power comes when you choose not to react, when you detach emotionally and respond calmly, deliberately. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming cold, it's about being clear. It's about observing your emotions without letting them control your actions. It's the ability to separate yourself from the drama without losing your humanity. When you can detach emotionally, you stop feeling like a victim. You stop being at the mercy of your circumstances. You stop letting others dictate how you feel. Instead, you stand firm, rooted in your own emotional center. And when you respond to life, you respond with clarity, not confusion. The first step to emotional detachment is awareness. You must recognize when your emotions are taking over. Anger, frustration, fear, jealousy. They don't arrive with a loud bang. They creep in quietly, slipping into your thoughts and actions. The moment you feel your emotions rising, stop, take a breath, pause for a moment, and observe. What are you really feeling? What triggered it? What story are you telling yourself about the situation? This pause, this moment of awareness is where emotional detachment begins. It's the space between stimulus and response. It's the power of choice. In that space, you can decide how to react. You can choose to step back and view the situation from a higher perspective. You can choose to release the emotional charge and respond with calm. When you respond instead of react, you take back control of your emotional state. And when you control your emotions, you control your experience of life. Emotional detachment also means letting go of the need to control everything around you. You cannot control other people's actions, other people's words, or other people's behavior. But you can control how you respond. You can control how you interpret their actions. You can control how you feel about them. When you detach emotionally, you stop taking things personally. You stop feeling offended by everything people say or do. You stop carrying around the weight of their opinions. You stop letting their moods dictate your mood. Instead, you see them for who they truly are. People with their own struggles, fears, and insecurities. You don't let their behavior define you. You don't let their emotions infiltrate yours. This emotional freedom doesn't make you indifferent. It makes you empowered. It makes you compassionate. It makes you stronger. You'll still feel things. You'll still experience emotions like everyone else. But you'll experience them with a sense of detachment. You'll allow yourself to feel, but you won't let those feelings control you. This detachment allows you to respond with wisdom. You can see a situation clearly, without the cloud of emotions distorting your view. You can make decisions based on logic and clarity, not fear or impulse. Emotional detachment also means letting go of the need for validation. When you seek validation from others, you give them control over your emotional state. Their opinions dictate your sense of self-worth. Their approval or disapproval defines how you feel about yourself. But when you detach emotionally from the need for validation, you stop seeking approval outside of yourself. You realize that your worth doesn't depend on what others think. You start valuing yourself for who you are, not for how you're perceived. This detachment frees you from the constant need for reassurance. It allows you to move through life with confidence, without relying on others to tell you who you are. One of the greatest gifts of emotional detachment is freedom. Freedom from anger, freedom from resentment, freedom from fear. When you detach, you stop holding on to past hurts. You stop letting past mistakes, failures, and judgments control you. You stop carrying the emotional weight of things that happened long ago. Letting go of this emotional baggage frees up space for peace, clarity, and joy. It allows you to move forward without the past holding you back. But emotional detachment doesn't mean becoming numb. It doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. It means accepting your emotions without letting them drive your actions. You experience emotions fully, but you don't let them control you. You feel what you feel, but you don't act impulsively. You give yourself the space to process, to reflect, to decide how to respond. True emotional detachment is a balance. You detach, but you still care. You let go, but you don't lose empathy. You protect your energy, but you don't build walls. It's the art of navigating life with emotional intelligence. It's the ability to stay true to yourself, no matter what is happening around you. It's the ability to stay centered, no matter how much the world tries to shake you. This power to detach is what makes you resilient. It makes you unshakable. It makes you unstoppable. When nothing can bother you, you are truly free. And in that freedom, find peace. The more you practice emotional detachment, the more it becomes your natural state. You stop reacting, and you start responding from a place of strength. You stop being controlled by external circumstances, and you start creating the life you want from within. In the next chapters, we'll explore how to deepen this emotional resilience, how to stay unbothered in the face of chaos, how to remain calm and clear in the storm of life. But first, remember this. Emotional detachment is not about becoming cold or distant. It's about becoming strong enough to choose how you respond to life. And that strength is what will lead you to mastery. In communication, in relationships, and in your own emotional journey. Chapter 2. The art of responding, not reacting. Reactivity is the enemy of emotional intelligence. It's the automatic, unconscious response to life's challenges. It's the impulsive reply, the quick judgment, the snap decision. Responding, on the other hand, is the conscious choice to think before you act. It's the space between stimulus and reaction, where true power lies. Every day we face moments that trigger reactions. Someone cuts in line, someone raises their voice, someone criticizes our work. And in those moments, our first instinct is to react, to defend ourselves, to protect our ego, to push back. But this reactionary approach only fuels the fire. It leads to emotional escalation, misunderstandings, and conflict. The art of responding, not reacting, is the ability to pause before you act. It's the power of choice, choosing to respond from a place of clarity, not emotion. When you react, you are controlled by the situation. When you respond, you are in control. The first step to mastering this art is awareness. You must first recognize when you are about to react. You feel it, the quickening breath, the tightness in your chest, the urge to speak immediately. These are signals that you're about to lose control. They are the emotional triggers that take you out of your center. To respond, you must stop before you act. You must create space between your feeling and your action. This space is where emotional mastery happens. It's where you get to choose how you want to behave, how you want to engage, how you want to communicate. The key to this choice is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability to observe your thoughts, emotions, and reactions without judgment. It's the ability to step back and see the situation clearly, without getting swept up in it. When you practice mindfulness, you stop reacting from the unconscious parts of your mind. You stop letting automatic thoughts and emotions rule you. You begin to respond from your highest self, the calm, thoughtful, rational version of you. This shift from reaction to response is a game changer. It changes how you interact with people, how you handle stress, how you resolve conflicts. When you respond, you take control of the situation. You choose your words with care. You choose your tone with intention. You choose your actions with awareness. But this doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It doesn't mean ignoring your feelings or pretending they don't exist. It means acknowledging your emotions without letting them dictate your actions. You feel anger. but you don't let it consume you. You feel frustration, but you don't let it drive your decisions. You feel hurt, but you don't let it cloud your judgment. By acknowledging your emotions, you take the power away from them. You stop being ruled by your feelings and start choosing how to act, regardless of what you feel. In practice, responding instead of reacting looks like this. When someone criticizes you, you take a deep breath before you speak. You assess the situation. You consider the intent behind their words. You decide how you want to respond, calmly, rationally, without jumping to conclusions. When you feel overwhelmed by stress, you don't react impulsively. You step back, breathe, and regain your composure. You decide how to approach the problem, choosing to respond with clarity, not anxiety. In conflict, you don't rush to defend yourself. You listen carefully. You acknowledge the other person's perspective, and then you respond thoughtfully, without reacting from a place of anger. This is emotional mastery. It's not about being perfect. It's about making conscious choices, no matter how triggered you may feel. The more you practice this art, the easier it becomes to respond instead of react. You build resilience. You build emotional intelligence. You build social harmony. People respect those who respond with clarity, who think before they act, who choose their words with care. They trust those who can remain calm, even when the situation is chaotic. When you respond instead of react, you make others feel safe. They feel heard. They feel understood. They feel respected. And that's how true communication happens. It happens when both people feel safe enough to express themselves without fear of judgment or escalation. But there's more to the art of responding than just mindfulness. There's also empathy. Empathy allows you to see the situation from another person's perspective. When you empathize, you stop making everything about you. You step into the other person's shoes and understand their emotions. You see their triggers, their fears, their insecurities. This awareness changes how you respond. Instead of reacting defensively, you respond with compassion. Instead of reacting with frustration, you respond with patience. Empathy opens the door to understanding. It turns conflict into conversation. It turns criticism into coaching. This is what separates reactive people from responsive people. Reactive people make everything personal. Responsive people see the bigger picture. They understand that the other person's behavior is often about their own struggles, not a direct attack on you. Empathy allows you to remain emotionally neutral, even when others are not. It allows you to stay grounded in your own truth, without being swept away by others' emotions. When you combine mindfulness and empathy, you unlock the full power of responding, not reacting. You start to see people as individuals, not as obstacles or threats. You start to engage with them with curiosity, not judgment. You start to communicate from a place of understanding, not defensiveness. This shift changes the dynamics of every interaction. It turns arguments into discussions. It turns frustration into resolution. It turns tension into trust. The art of responding instead of reacting is also about timing. There are moments when silence is the most powerful response, when you don't need to say anything, when your presence alone calms the situation. There are moments when speaking too quickly can escalate the tension, and there are moments when waiting just a few seconds before speaking gives you the clarity you need to craft a response that will actually resolve the issue. In the long run, responding instead of reacting creates healthier relationships. It fosters respect, trust, and collaboration. It allows you to remain emotionally strong, even in the face of conflict, and that strength makes you a better communicator, a better leader, a better person. So, the next time you feel the urge to react, take a deep breath, pause, and choose your response with clarity. In that moment, you will realize you have the power to shape your world, one response at a time. Chapter 3. Emotional Mastery in Challenging Situation. Want is more story to it clothing. Life is full of challenges, unexpected moments that push you to your limits, that trigger your deepest fears and frustrations. It's in these moments, the moments when everything feels like it's falling apart, that emotional mastery becomes most crucial. Most people react impulsively when faced with adversity. They panic, they lash out, they shut down. But emotional masters know something different. Challenging situations are not problems to solve. They are opportunities to grow. The first step to emotional mastery in difficult moments is awareness. When you find yourself triggered, pause. Feel the emotion before it controls you. You may feel anger rising, anxiety building, hurt deepening, but none of these emotions have to define your response. Emotional mastery doesn't mean you suppress what you feel. It means you give yourself the space to feel without reacting in the heat of the moment. Awareness is your power. You don't have to let the emotion take over. You can observe it, acknowledge it, and then choose your response from a place of clarity. In emotionally charged situations, most people default to reactive behavior. They respond immediately based on what they feel in the moment. But emotional mastery requires you to break that automatic cycle. You stop yourself before the reaction begins. You breathe. You step back. You create space between the stimulus and your response. In that space, you have the power to choose. You choose how to express your emotions. You choose how to direct your energy. You choose to remain calm, grounded, and in control of your emotional state. This choice is a skill. It takes practice. But the more you practice it, the more automatic it becomes. When faced with challenges, people often think that their emotions are a weakness. They believe that feeling angry, upset, or hurt makes them less strong. But emotions are not weaknesses. They are human experiences that reveal how deeply we care. It's not the emotions themselves that make us weak. It's how we handle them. The key is not to avoid emotions, but to master them. To feel deeply and yet remain unshaken. To experience difficulty and still respond with grace. Emotional mastery in challenging situations means keeping your balance, even when the world around you feels chaotic. It means refusing to let external circumstances dictate your internal state. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond with intentionality. When faced with conflict, you don't immediately try to defend your position. You listen. You understand. You assess the situation before reacting. Emotional mastery means staying grounded when everything around you seems unsteady. It means accepting the situation for what it is, without getting swept away in it. The emotionally mastered person doesn't feel the need to control others. They control themselves, their emotions, their responses, and in doing so, they create a calming effect on everyone around them. It's the difference between being overwhelmed by a storm and standing firm in the center of it, knowing that the storm will pass. In challenging situations, emotional mastery is also about resilience. Resilience is not about never feeling pain or frustration. It's about how quickly you can bounce back. It's the ability to remain steady, even when things don't go as planned. It's the capacity to absorb setbacks without letting them define you. Life doesn't go the way we expect. Things don't always turn out as we hope. People will disappoint us. Circumstances will challenge us. But emotional mastery allows you to roll with those punches without losing your balance. It allows you to take a hit, take a breath, and keep moving forward. Resilience comes from knowing that you can face any situation with emotional clarity. You don't need to control the outcome. You just need to control your response. In every challenging situation, you can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth. You can choose to learn from it, to become stronger because of it, and to stay grounded even in the face of adversity. Social masters use challenging moments to refine their emotional intelligence. They do not avoid difficulty. They embrace it. They see it as a chance to practice emotional mastery in real time. When you begin to see every challenge as a lesson, you stop being afraid of hardship. You stop running from difficult people or situations. You start engaging them with purpose. Instead of seeing frustration as a roadblock, you see it as a chance to sharpen your patience. Instead of viewing anger as something to suppress, you see it as a signal to ground your response and stay calm. This shift in perspective is key to emotional mastery. It's about learning to stay centered, no matter what life throws at you. In a world full of noise and chaos, people are desperate for peace. They are looking for stability. They are looking for someone who can hold their center, even when everything around them feels unsteady. This is why emotional mastery is such a powerful skill. Because in the midst of life's storms, you become the lighthouse. They're steady, calm, and unwavering. Every challenge that arises is another opportunity to practice emotional detachment. It's another opportunity to strengthen your inner foundation, to refine your ability to respond with grace and clarity. As you become more skilled in emotional mastery, you'll begin to notice that challenges don't affect you the way they once did. They no longer trigger impulsive reactions. They no longer cause you to panic. You approach them with patience, with confidence, and with a sense of inner peace. Your emotional state remains unshaken because you no longer allow the world to determine how you feel. You have become the calm in the storm. And the more you practice this, the more you realize that life's challenges are just stepping stones. They are opportunities to refine your emotional intelligence and to strengthen your ability to navigate through life's turbulence. Emotional mastery is not about avoiding pain or conflict. It's about learning how to handle them with composure. It's about developing the emotional fortitude to stand tall, even when the world is trying to knock you down. The more you practice emotional mastery, the more resilient you become. The more resilient you become, the more you realize that nothing at all can truly shake your inner peace. And that peace becomes your superpower. It's the foundation upon which your confidence, your clarity, your strength, and your influence are built. Once you master your emotions in challenging situations, you step into life with a sense of power and grace. You no longer fear setbacks or difficulties. You embrace them, knowing they are opportunities for growth. And this mastery changes everything. It changes how you respond to people, how you handle stress, how you navigate challenges, and how you create the life you want to live. Emotional mastery is your key to becoming unshakable. It's your key to turning life's obstacles into opportunities. It's your key to living with peace, purpose, and power. Chapter 4. Transforming stress into strength. Stress is a natural part of life. It's an unavoidable force that arises when we face challenges, pressures, and demands. But here's the truth most people don't realize. Stress is not inherently negative. Stress, when understood and managed correctly, can be a powerful force for growth. It can become the catalyst for change, the driving force behind personal strength, and the fuel for transformation. The problem is not stress itself. It's how we respond to it. When we allow stress to control us, it overwhelms, exhausts, and paralyzes. But when we harness it, stress becomes a tool that sharpens us. The first step to transforming stress into strength is changing your relationship with it. Instead of seeing stress as something to avoid or eliminate, begin to see it as a sign of opportunity. Stress arises when we are being pushed outside our comfort zone. It appears when we are growing, when we are evolving, when we are on the edge of breaking through. The key is not to run from it. The key is to lean into it. When you feel stress rising, don't fight it. Don't resist it. Instead, step back for a moment and recognize that this stress is a signal. It's the body's natural response to something important, something that requires your attention, your focus, your energy. Stress is not a sign that you're weak. It's a sign that you are being stretched, and that stretching is necessary for growth. The second step is to shift your mindset. When stress hits, most people fall into a victim mentality. They start to feel powerless, like life is happening to them instead of through them. But the emotionally intelligent person understands that stress is just an emotion, and like all emotions, it can be managed. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, shift your focus, reframe your thinking. Tell yourself, I am in control of my response. Your ability to control how you react to stress is what transforms it into strength. This shift in perspective takes practice, but it's the difference between feeling defeated by stress and feeling empowered by it. The third step is to practice emotional resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to adapt in the face of challenges, and to continue moving forward with strength and grace. Stress tests your resilience. It challenges your emotional capacity. It pushes you to the limit, but it also reveals your potential to go beyond the limit. When stress arises, instead of collapsing under the weight of it, stand tall. Pause for a moment and assess the situation. Ask yourself, what is the lesson here? What can I learn from this moment? How can I use this stress to make myself stronger? This is the heart of emotional resilience, the ability to face stress head-on, learn from it, and emerge more powerful. Resilience is built through practice, and every stressful moment is an opportunity to build that muscle. The more you face stress and navigate it with grace, the stronger your resilience becomes. The fourth step is to embrace stress as a motivator. Stress is a powerful source of energy. It's the body's natural way of preparing you to face challenges. It's the spark that ignites action, the drive that pushes you to perform at your best. When stress rises, don't see it as a barrier. See it as fuel. Stress can push you to be more creative, more resourceful, more focused. It can sharpen your mind, increase your productivity, and elevate your performance. Instead of letting stress drag you down, harness it to drive you forward. Use it as motivation to take action, to push through the resistance, and to achieve your goals. The fifth step is to manage your energy during stressful times. Stress can be exhausting, but only if you allow it to deplete your energy. When stress rises, it's easy to get caught up in the emotional whirlwind, to feel drained, to lose focus. But social masters know the importance of managing their energy. They take time to breathe, to reset, to center themselves. They know that stress isn't meant to last forever. It's temporary, and so is the energy it demands. By managing your energy, taking breaks, getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, and practicing mindfulness, you can prevent burnout and remain strong in the face of stress. The sixth step is to create a healthy stress relief routine. No matter how strong you are, stress takes a toll on your body and mind. It's essential to have tools in place to release that tension, to unwind, and to reset. Exercise is one of the best ways to release stress. Physical activity helps your body process stress hormones, increases energy, and improves mood. Meditation and mindfulness also play a crucial role. When you practice mindfulness, you disconnect from the stress, bring your focus to the present moment, and reduce the intensity of your emotional reactions. Journaling can also be a powerful stress relief tool. By writing down your thoughts and feelings, you release pent-up emotions, gain clarity, and gain perspective. Having a support system is another crucial element. Talking to someone you trust can help you process stress, gain new insights, and feel heard. Your stress relief routine is a vital part of transforming stress into strength. It's not about eliminating stress. It's about releasing its grip on you. The seventh step is to embrace the power of perspective. Stress often arises from our perception of events. When we see stress as an insurmountable obstacle, it feels overwhelming. But when we shift our perspective, when we see it as a challenge to overcome or a lesson to learn, it becomes manageable. Perspective is a game changer. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on what's right. Instead of dwelling on what you can't control, focus on what you can. Perspective turns stress from a problem into a possibility. It transforms your mindset from, "I can't handle this," to "I can handle this," and grow stronger because of it. When you see stress this way, it no longer has control over you. It becomes a tool for personal growth, strength, and resilience. The final step in transforming stress into strength is trust. Trust in yourself. Trust that you can handle whatever comes your way. Trust that stress will not break you. Trust that you are capable of overcoming any challenge. The more you trust yourself, the less power stress has over you. You start seeing it as a temporary wave, not a permanent force. You begin to move through life with more confidence, knowing that you have the strength to face anything. Stress will always be a part of life, but it no longer needs to control you. You can choose to transform it into strength, resilience, and growth. This is the power of mastering stress. It's not about avoiding it. It's about using it to fuel your journey. It's about using it as a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. And with that mastery, you become unstoppable. Chapter 5. Using stress for positive change. Stress doesn't have to be an enemy. It doesn't have to be something that drains you or weakens your resolve. What if stress could become a powerful tool for change? What if, instead of fighting it, you used it as fuel to move forward, to grow, to evolve? This is the art of using stress for positive change, transforming something that feels uncomfortable and overwhelming into something that propels you to greater heights. The first step is recognizing that stress is a natural response to change. Change, whether it's in your personal life, your career, or your relationships, often brings with it a sense of discomfort. That discomfort is stress. And when you feel stress, you are often on the edge of a breakthrough. It's the signal that you are being stretched beyond your comfort zone, and this stretching is where growth occurs. The most successful people in the world don't shy away from stress. They don't avoid discomfort. They embrace it. They understand that stress is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of progress. When you start to see stress in this light, it no longer becomes something to fear or avoid. Instead, it becomes a sign that you're on the right path. It's the indication that you are pushing yourself toward positive change. Stress also reveals where you need to focus. It highlights the areas of your life that require attention. When something stresses you out, it's usually a signal that there's an issue. Whether it's with your time management, your mindset, your relationships, or your goals. Instead of letting stress spiral you into overwhelm, use it as a tool to pinpoint what needs to be changed. What about this situation is causing stress? Is it your lack of preparation, your fear of failure, your need for approval? Stress gives you the information you need to take action. It tells you what you need to address, what you need to work on, what needs to be adjusted. Once you identify the root cause of your stress, you can use it as a catalyst for transformation. Instead of simply reacting, you begin responding with purpose. For example, if you're stressed about a project at work, take a moment to reflect. Why is this project stressing you out? Is it because you're unprepared? And is it because you lack confidence in your skills? Is it because you feel overwhelmed by the workload? Once you understand the root cause, you can take practical steps to solve the problem. You can break the project into smaller, more manageable tasks. You can seek out resources or support to improve your skills. You can shift your mindset to see this project as an opportunity for growth, not a burden. Stress can be your guide to improvement, if you allow it to be. Instead of letting it hold you back, let it push you forward. Another way to use stress for positive change is through resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity. It's the ability to use setbacks as learning experiences and to keep moving forward, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. Stress tests your resilience. It shows you how strong you truly are. And the more you face stress head-on, the more resilient you become. Stress, when channeled properly, teaches you how to stay calm in the storm. It teaches you how to persevere, even when things get tough. It builds mental toughness, emotional clarity, and the ability to keep going when everything else says stop. When you use stress as a tool for building resilience, you stop seeing it as a barrier. Instead, you see it as a challenge to overcome. You see it as a test that reveals your inner strength, and this resilience becomes a powerful foundation for achieving your goals, overcoming obstacles, and creating lasting change. Another key to using stress for positive change is reframing. Reframing is the ability to shift your perspective on a situation, to look at it from a different angle, and to find a way to see it as an opportunity rather than a threat. When you're stressed about a situation, ask yourself, what if this stress is an opportunity for growth? What if this challenge is preparing me for something better? What if I could use this discomfort as a springboard to a greater future? Reframing allows you to take control of the narrative. It allows you to choose how you respond, instead of simply reacting to the emotions that stress triggers. When you see stress as an opportunity, you empower yourself to take positive action. You stop feeling like a victim to circumstance and start feeling like a creator of your own reality. Stress can also be used to improve your time management and productivity. When stress rises, it's often a sign that you're overwhelmed by your responsibilities. But rather than letting this overwhelm consume you, use it as a cue to get organized. Stress teaches you what's most important. It helps you prioritize. It helps you distinguish between what matters and what doesn't. When you feel the pressure of stress, take a moment to assess your tasks. What can be delegated? What can be eliminated? What needs your immediate attention? What can wait? By breaking down your tasks and prioritizing them, you turn stress into a force for efficiency. You stop spinning in circles and start taking deliberate action. Stress also fosters growth in relationships. It challenges your communication skills, your ability to set boundaries, and your capacity for empathy. When you're stressed in a relationship, it often signals that something is out of balance. It could be a misunderstanding, a lack of communication, or unmet needs. Rather than letting this stress cause conflict or withdrawal, use it as an opportunity to address the underlying issues. Take the time to communicate honestly, to listen actively, and to resolve any tensions. Stress in relationships is an opportunity to build deeper connections because it forces you to engage with each other on a deeper level. When you learn to navigate stress together, you build trust, understanding, and emotional resilience. Finally, stress can serve as a powerful motivator. When we are faced with high-pressure situations, we often tap into parts of ourselves we didn't know existed. We become more focused, more determined, more driven to succeed. Stress pushes you to perform at your best. It pushes you to take action when you otherwise might hesitate. It forces you to be creative, to think on your feet, to adapt quickly. Rather than feeling paralyzed by stress, use it to fuel your motivation. Let it drive you to work harder, smarter, and with more clarity. The key is to channel that energy positively into productive action, rather than letting it spiral into anxiety or burnout. Stress does not have to break you. It doesn't have to hold you back. When you learn to use stress as a tool for growth, you transform it from an obstacle into a stepping stone. Stress becomes the spark that ignites your inner strength, your resilience, your creativity, your focus, and in doing so, you turn it into a powerful force for positive change. This is the true power of stress, not as a burden, but as a catalyst for personal transformation. Chapter 6: Turning Setbacks into Comebacks. Setbacks are inevitable. They are part of the human experience, but they are not the end of your story. They are merely a chapter, a pause, a moment in time that challenges your strength and resilience. When setbacks hit, most people see them as failures. They think, "I've been defeated. I've lost. This is the end." But for those who understand the power of a comeback, setbacks are nothing but fuel. They are the force that propels you forward, the motivation that drives you to become stronger, more determined, and more capable than ever before. The art of turning setbacks into comebacks begins with perspective. You must see setbacks for what they really are, temporary obstacles. This perspective allows you to detach from the emotion of failure. It helps you understand that setbacks don't define you. They refine you. When you view setbacks as a part of the process, not a final destination, you open the door to growth. You stop viewing obstacles as permanent roadblocks and start seeing them as opportunities to rise higher. A setback is like a spring being compressed. It pulls you back for a moment, but only so you can propel forward with greater force. The key to the comeback is not to dwell on the setback, but to use it to fuel your next move. Instead of staying stuck in frustration or self-pity, ask yourself, what is this moment trying to teach me? What is the lesson here? How can I use this to come back stronger? This shift in mindset is everything. It transforms the way you respond to adversity. It makes setbacks a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. When you embrace setbacks as opportunities, you begin to see them as moments of recalibration. They allow you to reassess your goals, your strategies, your approach. Setbacks are the universe's way of asking, are you sure this is what you want? Are you ready to face what's ahead? Your ability to respond to that question determines your ability to come back. The more resilient you are, the faster you'll recover. The more adaptable you are, the stronger your comeback will be. But resilience doesn't mean bouncing back immediately. It means giving yourself the time to process, to reflect, and to recalibrate. True resilience is built through self-compassion. It's knowing that it's okay to feel disappointed, to feel hurt, to feel tired. But it's also knowing that these feelings don't control you. You don't need to rush your recovery. You don't need to ignore your emotions. You need to honor them, acknowledge them, and then move forward when you're ready. A setback might knock you down, but it doesn't determine your future. Your comeback comes from your ability to rise, learn, and keep moving forward. The second part of turning setbacks into comebacks is building a positive mindset. A positive mindset doesn't mean pretending everything is okay when it's not. It means choosing to focus on the solution, not the problem. When you encounter a setback, it's easy to get stuck in the problem. You see everything that went wrong, everything that you could have done differently. But the comeback is about switching gears. It's about shifting from problem-focused thinking to solution-focused thinking. Ask yourself, what can I do now to move forward? What steps can I take today to get closer to my goal? How can I use this setback to refine my approach? A positive mindset doesn't ignore reality. It just chooses to focus on what can be controlled, what can be changed, and what can be learned. This mindset allows you to stay motivated, even when the road ahead seems long. It helps you stay hopeful, even when things feel bleak. Positive thinking doesn't mean ignoring difficulties. It means facing them with a sense of purpose. It means taking responsibility for your next steps, without getting bogged down by what's already happened. The third part of a comeback is persistence. Success is not a straight line. It's a series of ups and downs, twists and turns. There will always be setbacks. There will always be moments of failure. But the key to coming back stronger is to persist, even when the going gets tough. Persistence is the willingness to keep going, even when you don't feel like it. It's the ability to show up day after day, even when the results aren't immediate. Persistence doesn't rely on motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Persistence is the quiet commitment to keep going, despite the setbacks, despite the doubts, despite the challenges. It's the decision to never give up, to keep pushing forward, no matter what happens. Persistence is the backbone of every comeback. It's the force that drives you to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. The fourth part of turning setbacks into comebacks is patience. Sometimes the most powerful action is no action at all. Patience is the ability to wait without becoming frustrated, to give time for things to unfold, to trust the process. A setback doesn't always need an immediate solution. Sometimes the best thing you can do is step back, take a breath, and allow time for healing, reflection, and clarity. Patience gives you the space to regain your perspective. It allows you to see things from a broader viewpoint, to plan your next steps with intention. When you act in haste, you often make mistakes. When you rush through recovery, you miss valuable lessons. When you hurry your comeback, you skip the process of growth. Patience allows you to move forward at the right pace for you. It helps you trust that everything will unfold as it should. The fifth part of the comeback is self-belief. You cannot bounce back from a setback without believing in yourself. You have to trust your own ability to rise. Self-belief is the foundation of every comeback. It's the knowledge that no matter how difficult the journey, you have the strength, the resilience, and the wisdom to make it through. Believing in yourself doesn't mean thinking you're perfect or that you'll never make mistakes. It means knowing that you are capable of navigating whatever comes your way. Self-belief gives you the courage to take the next step, even when the path is unclear. It allows you to trust that your efforts will eventually lead to success, No matter how many obstacles you face, the sixth part of a successful comeback is perspective. When you experience a setback, it's easy to feel like the world is against you. It's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. But the comeback is about zooming out. It's about seeing the situation in its full context. It's about understanding that setbacks are just temporary. Every setback is a lesson, an opportunity to learn and grow. When you look at the setback from a broader perspective, you can see that it's not the end of the story. It's just a chapter. Perspective helps you understand that failure is not permanent. It helps you see that you're not defined by one moment, one challenge, or one disappointment. Every comeback starts with a shift in perspective. It's the ability to see the setback as an opportunity to rise. It's the choice to see failure as a lesson and not a permanent condition. And finally, the seventh part of a successful comeback is gratitude. Gratitude helps you find peace in the midst of challenges. It shifts your focus from what you've lost to what you still have. When you're in the middle of a setback, it's easy to focus on what's going wrong, but gratitude reminds you to look for what's still going right. It helps you find strength in adversity. It helps you see the good in the bad. Gratitude keeps you grounded, reminding you of the lessons you've learned, the growth you've experienced, and the strength you've built along the way. In the end, the most powerful comebacks are born from setbacks. They don't happen overnight. They happen one step at a time. When you approach setbacks with the right mindset, the right resilience, and the right perspective, you turn obstacles into opportunities. You transform stress into strength. You use failure as the foundation for success, and you rise higher than you ever thought possible. Chapter 7. Embracing change and the power of adaptability. Change is unavoidable. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait until you feel ready. It arrives suddenly, quietly, or violently, and it forces movement. Most people fear change because it threatens familiarity. The mind clings to what it knows, even when what it knows is painful. Comfort becomes a cage, and routine becomes an illusion of safety. But emotional strength is not built in comfort. It is built in movement. It is built in uncertainty. It is built when you learn how to adapt without losing yourself. Adaptability is not weakness. It is intelligence. The strongest people are not the ones who resist change. They are the ones who bend, adjust, and evolve without breaking. Life never stays the same. People change. Circumstances shift. Plans collapse. Opportunities appear unexpectedly. When you resist these changes, you suffer twice. Once from the event itself, and again from your refusal to accept it. But when you embrace change, you reduce pain, increase clarity, and regain control. Adaptability begins with acceptance. Not approval, acceptance. Acceptance means acknowledging reality without emotional resistance. It means seeing things as they are, not as you wish they were. Resistance creates friction. Friction creates stress. Stress drains energy. Acceptance creates flow. Flow creates momentum. Momentum creates strength. When something changes in your life, your first task is not to fix it. Your first task is to accept it. Only then can you respond intelligently. Adaptable people understand that change does not erase their identity. It refines it. You are not your job. You are not your routine. You are not your current circumstances. You are your ability to respond, to adjust, to grow. This realization removes fear. Fear comes from attachment. Attachment to outcomes. Attachment to expectations. Attachment to how things should be. Adaptability loosens these attachments. It allows you to move freely instead of clinging desperately. When you stop clinging, you start flowing. Change often exposes emotional rigidity, the inability to let go, the refusal to adjust perspective, the insistence on control. Rigid minds break under pressure. Flexible minds absorb pressure and transform it. Adaptability is emotional flexibility. It is the ability to feel discomfort without becoming overwhelmed. It is the ability to face uncertainty without panicking. Emotionally adaptable people do not collapse. When plans fail, they recalibrate. They do not see disruption as disaster. They see it as redirection. Every major transformation in life comes disguised as disruption. Loss teaches independence. Failure teaches strategy. Change teaches awareness. Adaptability allows you to extract value from chaos. It helps you ask the right internal questions. Not why is this happening to me, but what is this asking of me? That shift alone changes your emotional experience. Adaptable people understand timing. They know when to act and when to wait. They don't rush decisions in emotional storms. They allow clarity to return before choosing direction. This patience is power. Change often triggers identity confusion. You question who you are when familiar roles disappear, but adaptability reminds you that identity is internal, not situational. You carry your skills, values, and awareness into every new environment. Change does not strip you, it reveals you. The more adaptable you become, the less threatening change feels, because you trust yourself, not circumstances. Trust in self is the foundation of adaptability. When you trust your ability to learn, adjust, and grow, change loses its power to scare you. You stop needing certainty. You start needing clarity. Certainty is fragile. Clarity is resilient. Adaptable people focus on what they can control, their attitude, their effort, their response. They release what they cannot control, other people's reactions, unpredictable events, past outcomes. This release creates emotional freedom. Change also demands emotional honesty. You cannot adapt if you deny what you feel. Suppressed emotions slow adaptation. Acknowledged emotions accelerate it. Adaptable people allow themselves to feel sadness, frustration, fear, without letting those emotions dictate behavior. They feel fully and act wisely. This balance creates emotional mastery. Adaptability is not constant positivity. It is emotional realism. You acknowledge difficulty without becoming defined by it. Adaptable people learn quickly because they listen deeply. They listen to feedback. They listen to reality. They listen to their inner signals. When something no longer works, they don't defend it. They release it. This release is strength. Change also tests ego. The ego wants consistency, recognition, status. Adaptability requires humility, the willingness to start again, to learn again, to adjust expectations. Humility creates growth. Pride creates stagnation. Adaptable people choose growth. They understand that life rewards movement, not stubbornness. Adaptability also protects emotional health. Rigid resistance leads to anxiety. Flexibility leads to calm. When you accept that life will change, you stop fighting reality. And when you stop fighting reality, peace becomes accessible. Adaptable people recover faster from setbacks. They don't get stuck replaying the past. They don't live in regret. They extract lessons and move forward. This forward motion builds confidence, not loud confidence, quiet confidence. The confidence that says, whatever happens, I will handle it. This confidence is unshakable. Adaptability also strengthens emotional independence. You stop relying on specific outcomes for happiness. You become grounded internally instead of externally. This grounding makes you resilient. Change stops feeling like loss and starts feeling like transition. Transition implies movement, direction, possibility. Every ending becomes a doorway. Every disruption becomes a signal. Every shift becomes information. Adaptable people read these signals clearly. They adjust strategy without losing purpose. They understand that purpose is stable, even when paths change. The destination may remain, but the route evolves. Adaptability allows you to stay aligned with your values while changing tactics. This alignment creates inner peace. You no longer fear the unknown because you trust your capacity to navigate it. Adaptability becomes a lifestyle. You stop bracing against life and start moving with it. You stop asking for things to stay the same and start asking to become stronger. And as you grow stronger, change becomes less threatening. It becomes familiar. Eventually you realize something powerful. Change was never the enemy. Resistance was. Once resistance fades, adaptability rises. And with adaptability comes freedom. Freedom from fear. Freedom from rigidity. Freedom from emotional paralysis. You become fluid, aware, responsive. You act as if nothing bothers you. Not because nothing happens, but because you have learnt how to adapt without losing peace. This is emotional maturity. This is inner strength. And once you embrace change fully, nothing in life feels capable of breaking you again. Chapter 8. Letting go of control and inner calm. The need for control is one of the greatest sources of inner tension. It hides behind worry, behind anxiety, behind the constant urge to fix, manage, and predict everything. Most people believe control brings safety. In reality, it brings exhaustion. Life is not meant to be controlled. It is meant to be navigated. Inner calm begins the moment you realize how little is actually within your control and how much peace comes from accepting that truth. Control is an illusion the mind creates to feel secure in an uncertain world. But uncertainty is not the enemy. Resistance to uncertainty is when you try to control outcomes, you tie your peace to results you cannot guarantee. When you try to control people, you invite frustration and disappointment. When you try to control life, you fight a force far bigger than you. Letting go of control is not giving up. It is growing up emotionally. It is the shift from force to flow. Inner calm is not found in managing everything perfectly. It is found in trusting yourself to handle whatever unfolds. This trust is the foundation of emotional freedom. Control creates rigidity. Calm requires flexibility. The more you try to control, the tighter you become. The tighter you become, the more reactive you feel. Inner calm cannot coexist with constant control. Calm comes from release. Release of expectations, release of outcomes, release of the belief that things must go a certain way for you to be okay. Letting go of control starts internally. It begins by observing your own patterns. Notice how often your mind tries to predict the future. Notice how often it replays the past. Notice how often it tries to solve problems that don't exist yet. This mental activity creates emotional noise. Noise blocks calm. Calm requires presence. When you let go of control, you return to the present moment, and the present moment is always manageable. Most anxiety lives in imagined futures. Most regret lives in remembered pasts. Inner calm lives now. Letting go of control does not mean becoming passive. It means choosing where your energy goes. You focus on effort, not outcome. You focus on values, not validation. You focus on intention, not perfection. This shift changes everything. When you stop controlling outcomes, you start controlling responses, and responses are always within reach. Inner calm grows when you accept this truth. You cannot control what happens, but you can control how you relate to it. This acceptance is powerful. It removes pressure. It softens resistance. It steadies the nervous system. Calm is a nervous system state. The body cannot feel calm while the mind is clinging to control. Letting go allows the body to relax. The breath deepens. The muscles soften. The heart slows. This physiological shift creates emotional clarity. People often fear letting go of control because they think chaos will follow. But chaos already exists when control dominates. Letting go creates order inside, even if the outside remains unpredictable. Inner calm is not the absence of problems. It is the absence of internal resistance. When you stop fighting reality, reality stops feeling like a threat. Control also feeds ego. The ego wants certainty, recognition, dominance. Inner calm dissolves ego's grip. Calm comes from humility, the humility to accept that you are part of something larger than your plans. This humility does not weaken you, it strengthens you. It allows you to move with life instead of against it. Letting go of control also transforms relationships. Control creates tension between people. It creates power struggles, unspoken resentment, emotional distance. When you release control over others, relationships soften, communication improves, trust grows, people respond better. When they don't feel managed or pressured, inner calm becomes contagious. The calmer you are, the calmer others become around you. This calm is not indifference, it is emotional steadiness. You still care, you still engage, but you no longer grip. Gripping creates suffering, presence creates peace. Letting go of control also frees creativity. Control narrows thinking. Calm expands awareness. When you are calm, you see options, you adapt easily, you respond intuitively. This flexibility is emotional intelligence in action. Calm allows you to access wisdom that control blocks. Control demands certainty. Calm allows curiosity. Curiosity opens doors. Letting go of control also means releasing the need to be understood by everyone. When you need others to understand you perfectly, you give away peace. Inner calm comes from self-understanding, not external agreement. You no longer need to explain yourself endlessly. You no longer need to convince. You no longer need to defend your choices emotionally. This emotional independence is freeing. Control often disguises fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss. Letting go means facing fear, without letting it rule behavior. Fear loses power. When you stop feeding it with control, calm grows in its place. Inner calm is also built through trust in process. Life unfolds through timing, not force. Forcing outcomes creates tension. Allowing process creates alignment. Alignment feels peaceful. When you trust the process, you stop rushing. You stop comparing. You stop measuring progress obsessively. You move steadily. This steadiness becomes strength. Letting go of control also means accepting imperfection. Perfectionism is control in disguise. Perfectionism creates anxiety. Calm accepts progress. Progress does not require perfection. It requires consistency. When you accept imperfection, you free yourself from constant self-criticism. Self-criticism disrupts calm. Self-acceptance restores it. Inner calm also requires boundaries. Letting go of control does not mean absorbing chaos. It means choosing distance when needed. You do not need to engage with every problem. You do not need to fix everyone. You do not need to respond to every provocation. Selective engagement protects calm. Calm grows when you respect your emotional limits. Letting go of control also reshapes identity. You stop defining yourself by outcomes. You stop tying worth to success or approval. Your identity becomes internal. This internal identity is stable. No external event can shake it easily. Inner calm becomes your baseline, not a temporary state. You still feel emotions, but emotions pass through you. Instead of controlling you, you experience life fully, without being consumed by it. This is emotional maturity. Calm does not mean life becomes easy. It means you become capable. Capable of holding discomfort without collapsing. Capable of facing uncertainty without panic. Capable of navigating change without resistance. Letting go of control does not remove challenges. It removes unnecessary suffering, and that is freedom. As control fades, clarity rises. As clarity rises, calm settles. You no longer react impulsively. You respond deliberately. You act as if nothing bothers you, not because nothing happens, but because you are no longer at war with what happens. Inner calm becomes your natural state, and once calm becomes natural, life feels lighter, decisions feel clearer, relationships feel healthier. You move through the world with ease instead of force. This is the quiet power of letting go. This is the strength of inner calm. Chapter 9. emotional independence and self-stability. Emotional independence is the moment you stop outsourcing your peace. It is the shift where your inner stability no longer depends on people, situations, or outcomes. Most emotional suffering comes from dependence. Dependence on validation, dependence on approval, dependence on how others behave. When your emotional state relies on external factors, you are always vulnerable. Any comment can shake you. Any silence can disturb you. Any rejection can feel like collapse. Emotional independence ends this cycle. It does not mean isolation. It does not mean coldness. It means sovereignty. You become the source of your own emotional balance. Self-stability begins when you realize that no one else is responsible for regulating your inner world. People can influence you, but they no longer control you. This realization is uncomfortable at first, because dependence feels familiar, but familiarity is not safety. Self-stability is safety. Emotionally independent people feel deeply, but they do not drown in feeling. They experience emotion, but emotion does not define them. They allow waves to pass without letting waves decide direction. This ability changes everything. Emotional independence is built through self-trust. Trust that you can handle discomfort. Trust that you can sit with uncertainty. Trust that you can survive disappointment without losing yourself. When you trust yourself emotionally, you stop needing reassurance. You stop checking reactions. You stop interpreting silence. You stop needing constant confirmation that you are okay. You simply are. Self-stability means your sense of worth is not negotiable. It does not rise with praise. It does not fall with criticism. This stability makes you calm in chaos. It makes you grounded in conflict. It makes you steady under pressure. People often confuse emotional independence with emotional distance. They are not the same. Distance avoids emotion. Independence manages it. Emotionally independent people connect deeply without attaching desperately. They care without clinging. They love without losing self. They engage without dissolving boundaries. This balance is rare. Self-stability also requires emotional honesty. You cannot become independent if you deny your feelings. You must acknowledge sadness, frustration, fear, without letting those feelings dictate behavior. Independence does not numb emotion. It contextualizes it. You understand that feelings are temporary signals, not permanent truths. This understanding creates resilience. Resilient people recover faster, not because they avoid pain, but because they do not identify with it. Pain visits, it does not stay. Emotional independence also frees you from emotional manipulation. Manipulation only works when someone can access your emotional triggers. When you are stable internally, triggers lose power. You stop reacting automatically. You pause, you observe. You choose. Choice is the core of independence. Self-stability grows stronger. When you stop seeking emotional rescue, no one can save you from your feelings, but you can learn to sit with them until they pass. This sitting is strength. It builds confidence that no external chaos can steal. Emotionally independent people do not panic when relationships shift. They adapt. They adjust. They do not collapse. They understand that people change, situations change, life changes, but their center remains intact. Self-stability is not rigid. It is flexible strength. You bend without breaking. You adjust without losing identity. This flexibility makes you powerful. Emotional independence also transforms communication. You speak clearly without fear of rejection. You listen openly without fear of disagreement. You express needs without guilt. You say no without explanation overload, because your worth does not depend on how others receive your words. This confidence is quiet. It does not announce itself, but people feel it. They feel safety around you. They feel clarity. They feel steadiness. Self-stable people become emotional anchors. Others stabilize around them, not because they control, person kan recombus to the because they are consistent. Consistency creates trust. Emotional independence also reduces anxiety. Anxiety thrives on uncertainty and dependence. Stability dissolves it. When you know you can handle discomfort, uncertainty loses threat. You stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios. You stop mentally preparing for collapse. You trust yourself to respond when the moment arrives. This trust calms the nervous system. Calm becomes habitual. Self-stability also reshapes ambition. You pursue goals without tying identity to outcomes. Failure becomes feedback, not identity damage. Success becomes experience, not self-worth inflation. This balance keeps you grounded. You remain motivated without becoming desperate. Emotional independence also clarifies relationships. You stop staying where you feel drained. You stop chasing those who pull away. You stop overgiving to earn connection. You choose alignment over attachment. This choice protects peace. Self-stable people value depth over intensity. Intensity burns out. Depth sustains. Emotional independence also requires boundaries. Boundaries are not barriers. They are self-respect in action. When you respect your emotional limits, others learn to respect them too. This respect improves every relationship. Self-stability also strengthens decision-making. You no longer decide from fear. You decide from clarity. Fear clouds judgment. Clarity sharpens it. Emotionally independent people do not rush decisions to escape discomfort. They tolerate uncertainty long enough to see clearly. This patience prevents regret. Self-stability also builds inner leadership. You lead yourself first. Your habits, your reactions, your mindset follow intentional direction. This self-leadership makes you reliable. People trust those who trust themselves. Emotional independence also changes how you experience solitude. Solitude no longer feels like loneliness. It feels like grounding. You enjoy your own presence. You recharge internally. This comfort with self is a sign of maturity. Needing constant stimulation signals instability. Comfort in stillness signals strength. Self-stability is also spiritual, even without belief systems. It is the alignment between thought, emotion, and behavior. When these align, inner conflict reduces. Peace emerges. You stop fighting yourself. Emotional independence does not remove pain. It removes panic around pain. You feel, but you do not spiral. You grieve, but you do not collapse. You struggle, but you do not lose direction. This steadiness is rare. It comes from practice, from choosing response over reaction, from choosing presence over avoidance, from choosing growth over comfort. Self-stability becomes your baseline. You act as if nothing bothers you, not because nothing affects you, but because you no longer give emotions the authority to control your behavior. You feel fully, and stand firmly. This is emotional independence. This is inner stability. And once you embody it, the world may shake, but you will not. Chapter 10. Living calmly in a chaotic world. The world is loud. It always has been. Noise is not new. Chaos is not new. Uncertainty is not new. What is new is how deeply people let the noise enter them. Information moves faster than thought. Opinions travel faster than truth. Emotions spread faster than reason. In a chaotic world, calm becomes a rare skill, and rarity creates power. Living calmly is not about escaping the world. It is about standing inside it, without being consumed by it. Calm is not passivity. It is mastery. A calm person sees clearly, while others panic. They move deliberately, while others react. They remain grounded, while others are pulled apart by urgency. Chaos does not disappear, but its grip loosens when you stop feeding it emotionally. Most chaos survives on reaction. Anger feeds it. Fear feeds it. Overthinking feeds it. Calm starves chaos. Living calmly means choosing where your attention rests. Attention is energy. Whatever you feed with attention grows inside you. When attention stays on noise, your mind becomes noisy. When attention stays on fear, your nervous system stays tense. When attention stays on comparison, your confidence erodes. Calm people protect their attention fiercely. They do not absorb everything. They filter. They understand that not every message deserves response. Not every opinion deserves weight. Not every problem deserves ownership. This selectivity preserves mental clarity. Living calmly also means slowing internal speed. Chaos accelerates thought. Calm decelerates it. When thoughts slow, emotions stabilize. When emotions stabilize, decisions improve. This internal slowing is not laziness. It is intelligence. Calm people think before acting. They feel before speaking. They pause before committing. Pauses are powerful. A pause breaks automatic reaction. It restores choice. Choice is freedom. Living calmly also requires emotional detachments, without emotional numbness. You care, but you don't cling. You observe, but you don't absorb. You stay informed, but not infected. This balance is essential in chaos. Emotionally reactive people burn out. Emotionally grounded people endure. Endurance wins long-term. Calm people understand impermanence. They know that panic passes. Trends fade. Crises evolve. Nothing stays forever. When you remember this, urgency loses power. You stop living in emergency mode. Emergency mode destroys peace. Calm living means returning to basics. Breath, body awareness, present action. The body is always in the present. The mind travels. Calm people bring the mind back to where the body already is. This reunion stabilizes everything. Living calmly also means accepting human limitation. You cannot fix the world. You cannot carry everyone's emotions. You cannot solve every injustice personally. Trying to do so creates despair. Calm comes from focusing on your lane, your actions, your values, your conduct. This focus creates meaning, without overwhelm. Calm people build inner order, even when external order collapses. They create routines, rituals, and mental anchors. These anchors hold them steady. When everything else shifts, living calmly also reshapes ambition. You still strive, but you do not sacrifice peace for progress. You understand that success without calm is another form of failure. Calm people succeed sustainably. They don't burn bridges. They don't burn out. They don't burn themselves. They last. Living calmly also transforms conflict. In chaos, conflict multiplies. Everyone is tense. Everyone is defensive. Calm people de-escalate by presence alone. Their tone slows conversations. Their steadiness lowers volume. Their clarity dissolves confusion. They do not dominate discussions. They anchor them. This makes them natural leaders. Calm leadership is trusted leadership. People follow those who are not ruled by emotion. Living calmly also requires acceptance of uncertainty. Certainty is rare. Control is limited. Calm people make peace with this. They do not wait for perfect clarity to move forward. They move with enough clarity. Enough is calm. Living calmly means embracing simplicity. Complexity overwhelms. Simplicity grounds. You simplify goals. You simplify choices. You simplify expectations. Simplicity creates mental space. Space creates calm. Living calmly also means honoring rest. Rest is not weakness. It is regulation. A regulated nervous system handles chaos better than raw willpower. Calm people rest intentionally. They do not glorify exhaustion. They understand that clarity requires recovery. Living calmly also shifts identity. You stop defining yourself by crisis response. You stop tying worth to productivity under pressure. You define yourself by steadiness. Steadiness becomes your signature. And finally, living calmly means trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your growth. Trust in your ability to respond wisely when needed. This trust dissolves anxiety. When trust exists, panic fades. You no longer rush to control life. You move with it, and that is the ultimate mastery. You act as if nothing bothers you, not because life is gentle, but because you are grounded. You have learned emotional detachments without emotional loss. You respond, not react. You adapt, not resist. You release control without losing direction. You stand independently, stable within yourself. Chaos may continue. Noise may increase. Uncertainty may remain. But you will not be shaken. You will move through life with calm awareness, quiet confidence, and emotional sovereignty. This is not avoidance. This is strength. And once you embody this strength, nothing outside you has the power to disturb the peace within you again.